All right, welcome to the Tolleson-Mack podcast. As always, we got Cesar, we got Brandon. But what you guys are about to watch, we interviewed Shea Hillenbrand today, and we did not. I mean, we thought we were going to talk baseball,
Steroids.
steroids.
Yeah.
I mean, we thought we were going to talk all this stuff about what he did. Like when we bring a guy on here, he gives his accolades, talks about going to the finals, talks about winning this and that. I personally don't care if you hit the like button or hit the subscribe button, but everyone I know, and I think everyone in the world, needs to listen to this guy.
Yeah.
And listen to this and just take it in for what it's worth. It meant so much to me. I have a couple friends that I'm going to point in his or he's going to go talk to them because I really feel this guy could save some lives.
And like when you go to church and that preacher man, he's talking up there, and you feel like he's talking straight at you, and that's kind of how I felt. Not it was touching. It was like right in your face. It was intense, and I didn't know it was going to go to this level, and I'm glad every conversation we had was way better than anything that I could have brought up. And
yeah, I mean, I got notes
relatable
over here about how many home runs he hit and RBIs and stuff, and by the time we were done, that was the most meaningless thing we could have talked about.
Yeah, for sure.
But
like me and Shea come from two different worlds, from rodeo to baseball, and he hit on a lot of the mental aspects of our games that are similar. And I think a lot of rodeo kids, young rodeo kids, really need to hear this, and even the guys at the top of their game rodeoing right now, would be good to hear that little message that he gave us today.
I mean, you guys can't see, but my daughter came today to actually work Shea's camera for him to kind of film behind the scenes, and the Lord works in mysterious ways because she's 14 and everything he said she needs to hear for life. I'm 45 and everything he said I need to hear for life.
For sure.
So like you said, Brandon, it's like going to church and there's 100 people in church and that preacher's up there, and for some, I mean, it's just they're special people, right?
Yeah.
Like he made us all feel like he was only talking to us.
Yeah.
Like everything he said you related to. So we just wanted to do this little thing and shout out to Craig. Craig's going to put it in the front of the podcast, in front of the video. But just I really think everyone should listen to this.
For sure.
All right, thanks for joining us. All right, welcome to the Tolleson-Mack podcast. Today it's brought to you by Chad Maddox over at Flint Farms. Brandon, who else do we got?
Man, we got Southwest Farm Service like always. Real appreciate
They're solid.
them.
They've been here since the gun.
Yeah, they big help.
But let's talk about this, and let's get excited for 1 second that we're not going to be just talking about team roping today. I'm sure we'll sprinkle in some team roping, but we got Cesar to talk to a few-time All-Star in NMLB, Mr. Shea Hillenbrand.
Yep.
Man, welcome, buddy.
Thank you
We're
so
happy
much.
to have you. I don't know if I can get any more pumped up than I am after we talked before we started filming, but I'm ready to roll now.
Good, brother. I'm ready to rock as well, so thanks for having me.
Heck yeah, man. Thanks for coming out. So let's just kind of jump right into it. Walk us down your story.
Oh my gosh.
Kind of from, I mean, we got time. Let's take it from maybe high school and on and see what it's all about.
Yeah, so it's really interesting because my wife and I just made a trip recently to New Orleans on Bourbon Street, and I discovered three truths there. Three things that I think are just extremely powerful, whether you're from the streets or whether you're from an average walk of life or whether you're from a celebrity aspect of the life, which I was able to grace that level for a little bit to rub shoulders with the who's who and the best in the world. But it starts in 5th grade, and I'm sitting in the back of Mr. Murphy's class, and it was Dream Big Day. And I always got in trouble. I couldn't sit still. I'm always getting all over the place and doing things. And he says, "Hey, what do you guys want to do when you grow up?" And I was vigorously raising my hand in the back of the class, just like, pick me. And he says, "All right, Shea, what do you want to do?" "I'm playing Major League Baseball, and I'm going to own a zoo." And all my classmates laughed at me. And they laughed at me. When they laughed at me, it was funny because even in 5th grade, I was like, I'm going to prove all these fools wrong. I took it personal. I'm in a pact with myself. I hold my dreams close to my heart, and I didn't care what anybody said. So fast forward a few years, I'm 14 years old, I'm sitting on my bed, and my dad walks into my room, and he drops a bombshell on me. And he says, son, we're moving out of state. And that was from Southern California to here there. Hot desert, Timbuktu, Arizona, right? And the story I told myself when I was 14 years old, my dad left the room that day, was I'm not lovable and I'm not good enough, and my dad doesn't love me. So that's what I want people to maybe see or maybe take hold of as we go on the journey and finish the rest of this podcast, is that there's always pivotal points, defining moments, and traumatic experiences that we all go through. We've all been wounded at some point in time of our life, and how we interpret and communicate that experience to ourselves, that experience that day, we're moving, I'm not lovable, I'm not good enough, and my dad doesn't love me, forms a story in our head. And that story in our head has emotions wrapped around that. For me, it was pain and resentment and guilt and shame and hatred towards my father, because how could you move me at a pivotal time of my life, going into high school? I left all my friends, all my community of sports, and I'm going out here in the sea by myself. And what's crazy is, as I share my story across the world from stage to stage to stage, and from the streets or the back rooms. I was down in St. Vincent de Paul 2 weeks ago talking to homeless people. I was in a transition program in downtown Phoenix. People are transitioning out of prison to the real, speaking to them. It doesn't matter. Your story is your story, and your truth is your truth. And my story that I had, that I went through, was very minuscule compared to a lot of people. But the crazy thing is that when I left Southern California and moved out here to Arizona, I became an overachiever through athletics. I decided that I put my head down and I worked hard as I could to try to get my father's approval. And that's what so many of us men go through. So many of us men have been wounded because we're always trying to seek our father's approval. So in high school, I became the #1 soccer player in Arizona. I was the best soccer player. I had chances to play in Europe. I had chances to play at university. But growing up in Southern California, a Dodger fan, I wanted to play Major League Baseball. So I had no options to play baseball anywhere out of high school. So I walked on at Mesa Community College, local community college. And the only reason I made the team is because of my work ethic. I was the first guy there and the last guy to leave every single day. And after my sophomore season of playing junior college baseball, I had become the #1 player in the state of Arizona. How does this happen? I just put my head down and I put the work in, and you weren't going to tell me no. When the dudes say it's too hot outside, I'm training. When they say they're sick, I'm training. When they say there's too cold, there's whatever, they have a cold, or there's whatever that might be, I'm like, there's no plan B. Like, there's zero excuse mentality. And if you put yourself into that situation and you lean into your dream, you never know what could happen. So after my sophomore year, I was drafted by the Red Sox. My dream starts to become true. But at 20 years old, I told all my friends that I was drafted by the White Sox. I had no idea what team I was drafted by. See, they're like, what are you doing, man? Are you serious? Like 1918, last time the Red Sox won the World Series. It's a nation. It's New England, 6 states. I'm like, well, chill, bro. I grew up a Dodger fan. 1980s. Consistency of a Dodger fan in 1980s.
So you got drafted from the junior college?
Junior college.
Oh, wow. So you
I
didn't
didn't
play
know
D1. You went from junior college straight to the pros.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
And that's hard work.
That is just
Dedication.
Relentless. It's just like I don't know what y'all are doing. I'm going to the top. Y'all screw around. I'm going to the top. So the thing is that being a Dodger fan in the 1980s, I was showing up in the 3rd inning, and you leave in the 7th inning to beat traffic, LA traffic. And you always listen to Vince Scully on the radio.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The voice of the Dodgers. He'd put me to sleep many of nights because he'd tell us stories and stuff like that. But I'd sit at the top deck of the stadium. That's where I had my season tickets, my mom and my best friend. I had my chocolate malt in one hand and my nachos in the other hand, and I didn't give a damn about the players. I didn't care who was winning. I didn't care about getting autographs. I said, I'm going to be down there someday. I'm going to be down there someday. I visualized my dream. And that's what so many people don't do, is they don't understand the value of visualization. The visualization is one of the #1 tools that we have in our tool belt, but so many people visualize the negativity. Yeah. So many people visualize the anger and the frustration and all the crap that's going on in our lives. And I was like, I don't know what y'all are doing. I'm visualizing being down there someday. I gauge my senses. I'd hear the crack in the bat. I'd feel the roar of the crowd, the energy. I'd smell the freshly cut grass. And I always imagined Vince Scully calling my name, now batting, number 29. Shea Hillenbrand. And I'd switch that view. And that's what I want to share with you guys about visualization. I'd switch that angle. I'd see it from center field. I'd see it from home plate. I'd see the ball coming in. I'd see myself cashing paychecks. I'd see myself my name at the bottom of the ticker of ESPN, and I'd see myself on TV. I always change the angle. And so many of us don't change the angles of our vision because they don't even know what we're visualizing.
Yeah.
So I was drafted by the Red Sox, and I played 5 years in the minor leagues, and I was player of the year 3 of the 5 years in the minor leagues. I was hurt 1 year. I tore my ACL. But to get to the top, it is completely grueling. It is completely asinine. It is so difficult. You're going to have to pivot. You're going to have to go sideways. I was drafted as a shortstop. I made 14 errors in my first 10 games of pro ball at shortstop. I sucked. You want to play third base? Yes, sir. Give me to third base. I'm not going to make the big leagues at shortstop. I'm player of the year. Then playing first base and third base. And then they're like, oh, you're not going to be making the big leagues at first base and third base, so do you want to learn how to catch? So I got married, and 1 week after my honeymoon, I went to Australia and spent 4 months there in the offseason learning how to catch. And then I came back, and I was player of the year again. And then I went to the next level, and I was getting ready to go to the big leagues as a catcher. 2 weeks later, I was going to go to the big leagues. I tear my ACL on my right knee. Done. 7-month rehab. They took me off what's called the 40-man roster, which is like you're knocking on the door to get to the big leagues. I'm on the back shelf. At that point in time, I had a choice to sit there and complain about it, or sit there and say, you know what, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm going to do. It's not the way I was going to plan on doing it, but I have to do what I have in front of me right now. So many people with these setbacks, these knockdowns, they allow that to define who they are and use it as an excuse to ingrain that glass ceiling over their head and say, you know what, maybe this wasn't meant for me. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. So I came back to spring training the next year, and I was playing third base. So I went from shortstop to first to third base to catcher, got hurt, went back to third base, broke the league record in Double-A, which is 2 levels below the major leagues, and in the most hits ever in the league record.
Wow.
I walked on at a junior college because I didn't know how to play out of high school. And then I go to spring training the year after that, after I played third base, as a catcher.
Wow.
And then I go to big league spring training as a catcher, and I acted like I belonged there. I behaved like I belonged there. So many people don't understand this principle right here. You have to behave where you want to go. You want to behave like you're the best roper in the world. You belong in the NFR. You belong in that ring in Tolleson-Mack. You got to behave like you be there, because behavior precedes your emotion, your talent, your ability, all that fear, all that crap. You behave like you be there, and you don't know what's going to happen. So I break spring training that year, going to spring training as a catcher, trying to go to AAA as the starting third baseman for the Red Sox. How did I get there? I don't know. But I'm on opening day in Baltimore, Maryland, in Camden Yards. I'm like, how is this possible, man? Like, I was just trying to go to AAA. I was the first guy to go to the major leagues from Double-A to the major leagues for the Red Sox in 30 years. Like the first guy. I'm not a prodigy. I'm not like, but I have heart, and I have the mindset. And when I was in spring training, I was in the shower with Pedro Martinez. If you guys don't know who Pedro Martinez is, he is the man for the Red Sox when I played. He's arguably the best pitcher in the game when I was going to spring training that year when I was trying to make the big league roster. And I'm standing in the shower with Pedro Martinez, naked, and I was like, man, dude, this guy's... all right, Pedro, what's up, bro? He says, let me tell you something, Shea. He says, when I watched you when I came off the field, and I was thinking, like, why is this guy watching me? He's one of the best in the world at what he does, but when you're at the top, you freaking watch people, you see people, you take a back seat, and you're analyzing, you're constantly trying to refine 1%. What adjustment can I do? Because what separates you at the top is not ability, it's mindset. It's being able to tap into everything that you have to be able to perform when you get that opportunity. This is what keeps so many people back. So I'm hitting batting practice in the field, and if I knew Pedro was watching me, I probably would have freaked out. But he says, when you threw the ball inside, you hit it to left field because I was a right-hand hitter. And when you threw the ball down the middle, you hit it to center. When you threw the ball away, you hit it to right field. He says, that's a very dangerous hitter to face, because now I can't throw my A game at you. I can't come right after because you have it covered. I have to go to my plan B, and that's very difficult. What did I do? I just focused on hitting the ball to left, the ball to center, and the ball to right. Mastering the small things.
Isn't that wild, though, that Pedro Martinez would sit out there and watch batting practice like that and then adjust his pitches to how those guys are hitting it. I mean, that's
how
awesome.
they do it, though.
Yeah,
that's
it's crazy.
They're masterminds. It's like
Yeah.
to listen to this guy talk on the bench. Well, you should do this and do that. Like it's like speaking Chinese. Man, you know how it is, bro. At the level where you're at roping, like you talking to other people, it's like you don't get it, bro.
Yeah.
So what happens is the next thing that he told me is what changed everything for my career. He said, Shea, let me tell you the secret, and this is what I share with everybody. He said it's about having a big. No, I'm just kidding. He said it's not how much you know. It's how quickly you learn it is what gets you to the big leagues. It's not how much you know. We have all the information out there. I could watch so many YouTube videos right now. I don't know how to rope, but I could watch videos on you doing videos on learning how to rope, the master techniques, but it's not how much I know. It's how quickly you learn it is what gets you there. So the thing is, you have to understand who you are. You have to have introspective, how you work, how you function, how you operate. And this is what separates the average from the best and the best from the all-stars and 1%ers in the world, is I understand exactly how I function and how I operate at the top of the world.
How did you learn that? How did you learn?
Put in the work.
Yeah.
Every day. When everybody, that's funny because they had signs in the stands that say, every day, Shea. How stupid is that? But I just showing up every day with the intention behind what you do. You're just putting, when I say you in general, you're just putting the work in. I'm putting the work in with complete intention, with complete specific focus. So I ingrain that feeling inside my nervous system so I can go out there and just do it over and over and over and over and over again the right way. And if you do something over and over and over and over again the right way by the way you focus, you will get self-confidence. Self-confidence demands evidence. You have to do something in order to get self-confidence. So many people get fake self-confidence because of this. Because going out there and saying they can do this. Say all you want, fool. I'm going to go out there and do it. I ain't got to say a damn word.
Yeah.
I can go hit a Major League fastball right now. I'm 47. I've done it 2 million times. I'd be an idiot if I can't do it. It's the intention of how you show up. It's the meaning that you put behind it. It's understanding of what you need to do to make yourself function and compete against yourself only. So after 7 years in the major leagues, I'm a 2-time All-Star. I have $20 million in the bank. I'm flying private jets, rubbing shoulders with the president, movie stars, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon in her clubhouse. J-Lo's dating Ben Affleck at the time, and everybody's looking at J-Lo in the stands. Oh, dang, she's got a nice backside. And we're over there just doing the stuff. I'm on top of the world with everything I could ever want. 3 mansions, 6 automobiles, timepieces, because when you're rich, you call them timepieces.
Yeah.
And everything I ever wanted, but fulfillment, but freedom, but internal freedom. I was trying to build everything from the outside in. I was putting all my eggs in one basket. If I just get here, if I just do this, if I just reach this pinnacle here, all that internal pain will go away. The admiration, all that appreciation, all that stuff I'm trying to seek with my dad. Am I good enough now, Dad? Am I good enough now, Dad? It wasn't there. I was empty, and I was numb to everything and everybody around me. And here I am on top of the world, and I make a decision, proven to be the biggest decision of my life. I walk away. I left $50 million on the table.
So how do you do that? Do you do it in the off season? Do you do? I mean, when did you do
you
it?
can do it whenever the hell you want when you
Right,
got
but how did
money.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, how did you do it? Did you just?
Do you want to know why I did it?
Yeah. Well.
Cool. I used to own monkeys, and I had monkeys that had them in my backyard, and I was over at a property like this and I had my batting cage there. I always like to train by myself. I didn't want to be around nobody because I'm not there to socialize and grab ass. I'm there to train and do stuff because I got to take care of business because I'm not as good as you. I understand that. I know me completely. So I'm at my batting cage training, and I'm training just vigorously, getting ready to go to spring training with the Texas Rangers after my 7th season. And I get a phone call. Boom, 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 boom. My phone keeps blowing up, blowing up, blowing up, blowing up, blowing up. I'm like, dude, stop. It's my nanny. Blowing up. I'm like, dude, leave me alone. So I ignore it, and I finish my training session, working out in the batting cage, and I call her, and they're like, dude, you got to get home. Austin, my oldest son, was just bit by the monkey. And I was like, what? Cool. Great. So I go home, and this is when I was finished playing for the D-backs, and I go home, it's fire trucks, news cameras, everybody's at my house in Gilbert. See, what happens is, if you call 911, say somebody got bit by a monkey, that's not normal.
Yeah.
Right.
And then what they do is they have police scanners, the news, and then they
show up.
They figure out who it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Before I get to my house, it's all over Channel 3, Channel 5, Channel 10, Channel 12. Shea Hillenbrand, ex-Diamondbacks player, lets his son play in the backyard with a monkey and gets bit. Not even there. But it's me.
Right.
Because you have a name.
Yeah.
So my son's sitting in the sink with the firefighter. My son's 3 years old. And his firefighter had a bandage over his arm. And I said, let me see it. He took it off. And his arm was filleted open from like here to here. And like that much. So I was like, all right.
And how old was he? 3?
3 years old. Man. So my son was bit by a monkey. And it was very traumatic. And after that, every time I left the house, I was trying to prep my son that I was leaving to go to spring training and I would be gone. But every time I left the house to go work out, to go to the grocery store, to go do whatever, he started bawling crazy because he thought I was leaving.
Yeah.
And I couldn't leave anymore. And I sit there with my son and I said, I can't do this anymore. Mm-hmm. So I left and I pursued a second childhood dream. So this dumbass got a zoo.
I think it's pretty cool. Well, I think it's pretty cool that you said that in 5th grade, and here you are pursuing that second dream. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
You can manifest anything you want.
Right.
It's just how much you're willing to put the work into it. Design that thing in your mind. Lean into that dream that's been given to you. Everybody's been given a dream. Everybody's been given a talent to give the world. The problem is the intention behind that is missed. The energy that we have, we always give our energy out in fear, in jealousy, and in negativity, and everybody's looking at everybody else's dream. Everybody's looking at you, wishing they could be as good as you and doing the things that you do when they should be putting all that energy towards you, because the third law of motion is whenever there's an action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. I am a believer, but I do believe in quantum mechanics, physics, and that's what happens. Whatever you put out in the world will come back to you. The intention behind what you put out there will come back to you. I showed up here today with pure intention to do everything I can to leave every ounce of me through this microphone to pour into somebody, because I know there's somebody right now listening to this that wants to be one breath away with a fucking pistol in their mouth and wants to blow their head off and say, you know what? You have the ability to change that. It's in your perspective. That's where it's at. So the energy that you put out, the energy that I put out on top of the world was anger and frustration and resentment and sorrow and shame. And I just put that towards the game, and I just hated everything about that. So in return, I hated my life. On top of the world.
A lot of what he's been saying, Cesar, I mean, like about, we talked about Philip, by himself. I mean, a lot of it you've told me, in different ways. I mean, I've heard like what he's saying. Like,
I go to rodeos and ropings. I'm not there to talk. I'm there to rope. I'm there to compete. It's me and my horse out there, and that's it. It's just, I'm sure you get in the zone the same way, but I don't see anything else. I don't hear anything. It's just me and the steer. I feel the horse, and the horse, me and him are one, and we just go do our deal. And then when the run is done, it all comes back, and I can hear everything again. But at a certain point, that's what I miss. Some of them high pressure situations where your adrenaline's going, you don't see, you don't feel. It's just you're in the moment. I miss that a lot.
It's pure euphoria.
Man, it's unbelievable. It's hard to explain.
What I hear is he's talking about baseball. He's talking about a completely different sport, right? But it's all the same.
Yeah.
Right? These guys, I mean, they'll tell you right now, you don't just go to the practice pen to screw around.
Yeah.
You go to practice with a purpose, and that's what you're saying. When you were in the batting cage by yourself at home, you're practicing with a purpose. I'm working on this. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing today. And it's the same thing these guys tell us. They go to the practice pin and, hey, I'm working on this with my horse, or I'm working on this with my hand, or however, it's wild how two top of the sport games, the mindset is very similar.
Yeah.
This is
awesome.
Regardless of where you are, if you're an entertainer.
Yeah, and that's what you're saying. And it
CEO
makes
of a company,
such sense. Yeah.
Whoever it might be. But the thing is that what differentiated me from my competition and my peers is that when I went into the batting cage and hit off a batter's tee, which anybody could do that because the ball's sitting there on top of a tee, everybody else would focus on just trying to hit a line drive with that ball. I wouldn't focus on hitting a line drive with that ball because that's the result of what you're trying to achieve, and you can't control the result. It's not possible to control the result. You can influence the result of how you prepare yourself and how you present yourself in that situation. That's the only thing you can do with the result. So the influencing of a result when you perform starts with the basics of mastering the basic thing. I'm thinking of a steer just sitting there like a dummy, roping dummy that's not even moving. And what are you focusing on? So what I focused on was 4 steps when I hit the ball off the tee, and I can get a bum off the street to do it. I can get a mom, I can get your daughter to do it easily. I'd focus on where do I want to hit it? Direction. So I want to hit the ball in the back of the cage. Then as step number 2, I'd look at the ball. And I'd look at the ball with a soft focus, and I'd tell myself, hit the ball to the back of the cage. I already have that swing inside myself. I'm just trying to pull it out to re-ingrain it over and over and over. You already have that throw inside you. You're just trying to bring it out so you can correlate a feel to that movement. Because when you're in the moment, when you're competing, you can't see. You have to rely 100% off of feel, but we get blocked and we don't feel because we get in our head, and anxiety and emotion with generalized focus and generalized thoughts get taken over, and then fear creeps in, and then generalized thoughts cause what? Confusion. Then when I get confused, I have zero self-confidence. So it starts with just training out the batter's tee. I look at the ball, I'm going to hit it there. Then step 3 is I tell myself to start, because when my load and my stride has nothing to do with my swing. I'm going to get loaded and stride, and then step 4, as I'm looking at the ball, as I'm telling myself to hit it off the back of the net, is I'm going to feel it. So the first step is direction. Second step is look at the ball. Third step is start, and fourth step is feel it. Direction, ball, achieve my load, feel. Direction, ball. I'm doing a specific movement, a specific swing, tied to a specific feel. And then when I have that feel going into my system, I'm filing it into that file cabinet. So if you have a steer in this certain situation, whether it's stationary or whether it's moving behind a tractor or whatever that means, if I see that steer in this situation, I know that this movement and that feel has to come out. It's in you. Yeah. But we get blocked because we try to do it perfectly. We think about doing it while we do it, and you can't do it because the movement's too quick, because you have to react. Right? So I have to file that feel in my file cabinet. So when I get in the game, I have a 3-step focus formula that I focus on while I'm competing. What did I say? Preparing and presentation. How you present yourself in a situation. So in the game, I'm not thinking about, I'm going to get a fastball, or I'm going to hit a home run, or I'm going to do this, or the fans, or whatever. I'm focusing on 3 things. When do I start? Read the pitch and react. When do I start my swing? At what point in time is windup? Am I going to start my load? Because I already know my swing. And then the next thing I'm going to focus on is read the pitch. And once I read the pitch, it's going to translate the information to my brain. My brain's going to process it super quick, and it's going to pull out whatever swing it needs to be pulled out to correlation to where that ball is. So it's like the same thing with roping. Like, it's coming to my mind. I've never thought about this before, but it's the same thing. You're watching the strides, like you said. You're watching the feet moving. And okay, at what point in time, I got to read something, and then I got to transmit that information to my brain. I have to process it super quick, and then boom. That's how you create consistency. But we miss out on that option to put ourselves in that position to achieve it inside the arena, in the stadium, with so much pressure on you because you have one shot, like Eminem on the bus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, that's...
I can go on all day about this, Brad, because it's just
it.
The articulation is where it's at, man. If we can bring awareness to people, that's what it is. It's like stirring up hunger for people to want to go. Like when I teach hitting. Hitting's the hardest thing to do in sports period. I don't talk one mechanic. Hitting has 0 to do with mechanics. I'm sorry. Roping has very little to do with mechanics. The mechanical aspect has 20% to do with the success of you doing it out there. Hitting is balance. It's mindset and movement. Where's my focus and how am I moving? Same thing on the back of a flipping horse. It's not rocket science, guys. You have to understand, where is my mindset? Mindset is, am I in the proper state of mind? Is my intention behind what I'm doing? Do I understand what I'm trying to achieve? How am I presenting myself? Do I have self-confidence? And what am I focusing on? Well, self-confidence comes from evidence. You have to put the work in to get the self-confidence when you go train, when you go perform in a rodeo. But what do these guys do? They don't train because they're thinking about escaping from their hell world that they're living in. That's why they're in the back of the horse roping. Their intention is not to go out there to be the best in the world. Their intention is to go out there to escape the internal world of hell because that's all they know. It's cool to do that, but what's the intention of how you showing up? And it's movement, okay? Is that called a ribbon in the front?
Barrier.
The barrier. When that barrier goes, like, how am I moving? What do I focus on, and how am I moving to get what? In rhythm with my horse and in rhythm with the steer. I got to get my horse and my movements in rhythm, this in rhythm of his steer. If he's going quick or if he I got to speed it up, right? But where does that come from? That adjustment, that trigger, that variability. They talk about it when I'm hitting a baseball. I don't know if he's throwing a fastball, a curveball, or a changeup, unless they're banging trash cans and tell me what's coming, right? So I have to be able to be relaxed and focused so I could throttle that, right? So depending, you don't know what steer you're getting. You can have a good understanding of what steer you're gonna pull, right? But I have to be able to be relaxed, be able to be my focus. I have my self-confidence because I prepared, And I have my state of mind because I prepared myself to be on the back of the, I warmed up properly, right? I'm not just showing up and it's like being distracted, like you said, like I ain't talking to nobody. Screw you, man. Like I got to do this crap.
Yeah.
So if I'm focused and if I'm in rhythm with that steer, all I do is have intuition kick in. All that training because I have self-confidence, I'm reading it and all of a sudden, boom, you don't even know what you're doing, dude. When you're in the moment, when you're rocking, how the hell did you do that? I don't know.
Yeah.
I just did it.
Reaction, yeah.
It's the way the human mind functions.
Yeah.
That's what it's at.
A lot of it translates to your sport.
Man, I love it.
Big
Yeah.
time.
I think
I think a lot
hitting
of it.
especially, you know, there's a swing, there's thing, but you got to be able to, what we talked about earlier, you got to be able to see the ball if you want to hit the ball. The same thing if you want to heel the steer, you got to be able to see the legs.
Yeah.
They're moving fast, you know what I mean? It's like a fastball. Like you got to be, if you can spot the ball, the rotation of the ball, you're going to hit that sucker. The same thing if you can see the legs and they're striding out, there's a good chance you're going to catch him. But if you can't see the legs, you can't see the ball, there's no way you're going to hit the ball. There's no way you're going to catch the legs, right?
That's what it's at. And the thing is there's so many people in baseball, and I know this is the same thing with roping. They just see it and throw. They just see it and throw. You don't see it and throw your rope. You don't just see the ball and hit. You don't just see the ball and swing. We're not swingers, we're hitters, I taught them.
Yeah.
You can swing off the field all you want. We're not swinging, we're hitters. So how do you become a hitter? How do you become successful, consistent as a roper and scale above your competition? You have to go from seeing it and throwing to reading it and reacting. In order to read and react, you got to train the proper way from the dummy, from the track. But nobody wants to do that. I don't want to rope a damn donkey. I don't want to do the track.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this. You see it, right? You see it after the rodeos, the guys drinking beers at the pickup truck with the dummy there, and they're just effing around.
Yeah.
You're wasting your damn time. You're ingraining bad habits. What are you focusing on? If you want to press the chips, dude, you got to have a focus formula with the focus on. Bop, I could just do it. Bop, I could just do it. Oh, you want it? Bop.
Yeah.
It's just that comes from understanding how to place that focus and being relaxed. The biggest thing is you have to be relaxed to move because you have a partner, right? You can't control. You don't know what your horse is going to do. You don't know how they're feeling. You have a good inclination because of your partner, but you never know, right? So what are you going to do when they don't do what you anticipate? You going to freak out, or are you just going to go with the flow and make your adjustment because you feel and you move and you're reading?
Yeah, makes sense.
Need a mental coach?
Gotta be able to adjust, man. I love every second.
Let's
of
talk
this.
about the zoo. So what's up with the zoo?
Oh,
so you
man.
went on, you know, dream number 2. You started your zoo.
So that's when I kind of met you, right? Is
Yeah.
that what, the zoo?
I was really gone then, so I apologize.
Really?
Brian Adams told me that he met you. He used to live over there by you, and he's like, man, that dude's cool as hell.
I tried to be, dude. I had a good heart, but I had a lot of pain. What I learned through the process, guys, is pain not transformed is transmitted.
Give me that one more
That
time.
was a game changer for me.
What was that?
Pain not transformed is transmitted.
100%.
If we don't
Yeah,
transform
that's
the pain
That's
from
good.
the wounds, traumatic experience we have, because man, especially in your guys' world, pull up your bootstraps, fool. You gotta go out here. You gotta buckle up. I don't give a damn. You lose a thumb, you do whatever. I don't care. If mama did this, dad, your dog died, whatever. I don't care. You gotta do this. We gotta prove this. What do? You have pain. You have garbage that you're dealing with on the inside. And what do dudes do in your world? They do 4 things. What they do is they drink, they take drugs, they have sex, and they fight. You fight each other. Like, why the hell you fight each other? What do you got to prove? Why are we doing all this stuff? Luckily, we didn't fight because we had whatever. But it's just like, that's the byproduct of pain not transformed. Shea's pain was not transformed, and it allowed me to be a very successful performer on the field. I leveraged that pain to put me in that moment to that dark side, like the Tim Grover talks about with Kobe and Dwayne Wade and Michael. Like, dude, like I am a cleaner. I know how to flip the switch like a pit bull and go compete. I don't know what you're doing. I'm going to kill you. I think I played the wrong sport, right? So it's like that tiger in the weeds. I'm just chill, relaxed when I'm in there competing, and I'm focused on that shoulder of that antelope. You're focused on that hoof, bro. I'm focused, and I'm in that position to pounce. So I got to be in that position to pounce, meaning my load and stride has to be out of the way before I read the pitch. I got to be relaxed, but my focus has to be specific, laser focus, but chill. If it's intense focus, it's going to cause tension in my muscles. I can't react. And you can't put it together. Now your body's disconnected from your mind and what your eyes read and mind tell you what to do. Then you get frustrated. Then you beat yourself up. I can't figure it out. I'm better than this. The pressure on this. I can't do it. So I'm that tiger in that weeds. looking on that shoulder of that antelope. I'm not looking at the whole antelope. I'm not looking at the whole picture. I'm not looking at the whole calf. I'm looking at the feet. I'm looking at the legs. I'm chill. And then when that shoulder muscle twitches, I'm pouncing. If I'm focused on the whole antelope as I'm in the batter's box, it's too generalized. It's not specific enough, bro. And if it's specific enough, what happens is once that muscle twitches, boom, I got it. But if I don't focus just on that muscle, if I'm too distracted and he goes, I ain't eating.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Wow.
So I trained my mind at such a high level. And then when I left the game, it was extremely difficult to reintegrate back into society as we speak. Because it's like, dude, these people, this is how people think. No wonder why they're fat. No wonder why they're out of weight. No wonder, like you can't, you're just in a different world.
Yeah.
So I figured that Major League Baseball didn't do it. The glory didn't do it. The fame didn't do it. All the money, cashing $1 million paychecks, getting anything I ever wanted, monopoly money, living the all-star lifestyle. None of that filled that pain. So I was like, I'll buy a zoo. I always want to do that. I'm like Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter. I love animals to death. I'm way better with animals than I was in a baseball field. I flipping love animals.
We really think that Cesar likes horses more than he does any of his friends.
You know why? Because there's an unconditional love and a way you communicate with them that you don't even have to use the flipping spoken word. Right. And so many of us that are so successful, guys, I want you guys to understand this, and people that you interview, the people that are elite performers, it's difficult for me to communicate because I'm not here to communicate. I'm not here to small talk. I'm here to take care of business.
Yeah.
Right? So whenever I got my 9-foot dromedary camel, James, when I was around him, it was black and white. Mm-hmm. It was energy. I could feel it. If he wanted to be with me, he'd let me pet him and hang out with him. If he'd let me tell him kush, which means lay down for a camel, he'd do it. But if he didn't want to, he knew he was 9 foot. He'd either do two things: try to bite me or kick me. Yeah. And I know if he tried to do that, it's cool. I got to come at him a different way. But the animals bring energy. They bring energy, and the connection with that energy is asinine. It's so healing.
Cesar's brought that up. You know, he said, you know, sometimes where he would get in his head a little bit, and he would always go back to the horse riding it, or just being around horses. It kind of was like his therapy in a way, you know. And I listened to the deal you were talking about when you woke up that day, and you said, "Where's my horse?" And you said, "Where's my horse?" And you called and you figured out like the horse was a different state or something, or I'm not sure, but out of town. And you were like, you know, "Where's my horse?" And something that came over you, like, you need to find out where your horse is. And then out of all that, just randomly, isn't that where you met your current wife now? I mean, isn't that just an amazing story? Like I don't know the whole story, but I was trying to explain it to Brandon in a roundabout way. But that's crazy in its own, just how that happened.
And was that was your thought when you woke up? Where's my horse?
First thought that went through my mind.
Literally, where's my horse?
That's crazy.
Caesar's actually in love with you right now. I just want to let you know that. You guys are going to do karate in the garage later.
I wake up like that all the time, man.
Yeah, you guys are going to build bunk beds before this is over. Yeah, so that was the first thought that came to your mind. And
you want to talk about the zoo first?
Dude, we can talk about whatever you want, but when you bring up that horse thing, I mean, this is our game. This is what we talk about, and it's pretty freaking awesome.
So when I bought my zoo, I had 3 businesses. I had a horse boarding facility. I had the petting zoo for the children in the back. When I bought the zoo, there was 4 acres, the farm in Gilbert, there's 4 acres in the back corner that was 25-foot mounds of manure, horse manure, 13 years accumulation. They never left it there. And the ranch hands were sledding down it like it was snow. And and it was backed up to the stalls, and I'm like, this ain't gonna work. So I hold it off. Spent $100,000 to haul manure off. and once I hold it off, I'm like, dude, these visions started coming to me about, I want to put a barn here, and I want to put a pasture here for goats and sheep, and behind that I want to put some kangaroos, and over here I want to put some pigs. I got 2 800-pound Wilshire pigs, Taco Bell and Gilbert, and I had a 3-legged goat named Trace, and I had a CNI pony for a blind horse, and I had a zonkey, half zebra donkey, and I had a camel. I had all these animals, and I envisioned if I just get these animals, I could put them in a position for their souls to come back because they've been abandoned, abused, and neglected. And if I just get their souls back, because I was so desperately trying to bring my soul back, and I was trying to do that through service, but the intent behind doing that, I was so pain-ridden inside myself that I was hiding behind that veil still as, oh, you own Marley Farms, you can do whatever you want, you're the cool dude or whatever. Oh, you play for the Diamondbacks, I could pull it up and get the hay or whatever. Oh, Shea Hillenbrand, like it's a sick place to live and operate from because you don't know who you are. So I have all these animals, and I had 85 different animals in my petting zoo, and when you walk into my barn in the petting zoo, you couldn't even smell one animal. That's how pristine it was. I said, if I just keep this clean and take care of these guys and give them, each one of them, luckily I own the feed store, so each one of them, each breed, I researched what's the best food for all these guys and give them their exact food of what they needed, whether they're exotic or whether livestock or whatever that might be. And once I did that, I just wanted to bring inner city, disabled, and child crisis children out through my foundation because I know if I do this, this could transform lives, and it didn't. I had autistic kids saying their first words. I had a girl come there that got kicked out of a school in South Carolina. She went to Basha High School. In order for her to go to Basha High School, she had to do 35 hours community service, and through someone I knew, she came out. And man, I told all these kids that if you guys ever get into trouble, if you guys ever get in a situation, know that you have a second option. Know that you can come here. I don't know how much I can do depending on how much trouble you get into, but know you have a plan B. You know you have a second option. So one night during spring break, this girl came through the doors of the petting zoo at 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, what are you doing here? And she's like, looking at me and her soul's gone, like looking right through me. She's like, you know how you told us that we can come here? Yeah, we need to talk. Over the next 45 minutes, this girl told me in detail how she was going to murder her grandfather that night and slit her wrists and take her own life.
Wow.
Because that story that she was telling herself, from the experiences and the internal battles she was fighting without the support from her parents, but she knew she had a second option. And she came there.
Yeah.
I had so many things that happened at that farm that was superseded anything I ever did on Major League Baseball for. It was asinine. Like, you couldn't even make it up. Like the news came out, like everybody came out to the farm. And like witnessing my animals transform thousands of children's lives in the community was just completely priceless. Yeah. Like you couldn't even put a price on it. Like you can't even, I could sit here all night and tell you story after story. Oh, remember this time, remember that time? Like just these animals just change lives, it's just nonstop. I'm bound to get fulfillment now. Like this has got to fill it up, a philanthropical way, like going out there and giving back and helping the animals and the kids. That's got to fill you up because Major League Baseball didn't do it, but it didn't. So that led to one night, a dark, quiet neighborhood. And there's a white van parked underneath a street lamp, a buzzing street lamp. And inside that van was a Major League Baseball player, sitting there hopeless, hunched over, with a bottle of vodka in his hand and a bottle of half-empty pills sitting in his lap. And as I was looking down at these bottle of pills and this bottle of vodka, clinging on to my last breath, the soul's leaving the top of my head. And it's just like, fuck it. Take the pills, and wash it down with the rest of the vodka, and I sit in there, running, numbing, fleeing from that pain. No one gets it. No one understands it. Those are the thoughts going through my mind. You don't get what I've done to get here. And the thoughts racing through my mind were, you're a loser. You're a failure. You didn't reach what you're supposed to reach. You said you could do this, but you didn't do it. You didn't come through. You said you left Major League Baseball because your kids, but you didn't. You're a hypocrite. You left because you couldn't handle the pain, the pressure. You couldn't handle that level of where it's at. You're a wuss. What would your parents think if you left this world today, Shea? What kind of dad would do this to his kids? I'm parked outside my ex-wife's house, and my children are an arm's distance away. The children that I said I quit baseball for. I don't know. Nothing if I don't have baseball. I laid back and laid down. Let go. Couldn't do it no more. So tired of fighting that game. Because the game had become my game. My identity. How did I get here? How does somebody get to this spot I can't ask for help. Nobody understands what I'm going through. You all don't get it. You might have all the answers. I ain't listening to you because you don't understand what I'm going through. I'm Shea Hillenbrand. You don't get what I've done to get here. I've been able to go out there and perform and master this in front of the world and apex that mountain here and perform in front of all these people, millions of people, and do this. But I can't figure this out. As you climb that mountain, you sacrifice everything in your life to sell your soul to that dream and that passion and that vision that you have as you're climbing. You damage your relationships between your spouse or your partner and your children. If I just get here, that will clear it all up. You don't understand what I'm going to provide you. I'll get you the private jets and the cars and the mansions and the purses and the clothes and the shoes, and I'll get you whatever you want, son. I'll take you to the promised land and do that. But what you don't realize is that once you get there, don't fix it. It's not worth it. They don't tell you the pain and the suffering and all the crap that you go through to try to get to the top, because what you think when you get to the top, you're going to get what you're so yearning for, your soul's yearning for. And the scariest spot for us to be in as men is when you get to the top and you've done all this damage in your life and you can't figure it out. You don't know how to make the adjustments. You don't know how to mend the relationships that you damaged, and the bridges that you burnt, and all the stuff that you've done. So as I'm driving over here to pick up hay, I'm burning relationships and burning bridges. I cut my parents out of my whole career because the story I told myself at 14 years old with my dad. I became incarcerated in the prison of my mind because I'm trying to achieve something that's not achievable. I'm trying to fill that void externally like so many of us are doing out there seeking and getting in that pickup truck with the trailer, driving from rodeo to rodeo, from competition to competition, questioning yourself, why the fuck am I doing this? Because every time I get done with it, that accomplishment is just temporary. This pain is still here, but I gotta mask it because I've reached this level, and you guys don't, I want you to see that. I don't want you to see the shattered soul and the crying little boy that just needs to be hugged. That's all I needed. Was just to hug and say, you know what? It's going to be all right. So I let go. I don't know if I died or if I fell asleep. But by the grace of God, the sun peered through the front windshield of the van I was living in 9 years ago. How do you do that? How do you lose $20 million? How do you get in that situation? But by the grace of God, I woke up, and when I came to, the sun came through my eyes. And when I woke up, I realized I didn't have any side effects. No stomachache, no nausea, no headache. And the concoction of alcohol and pills I consumed the night before, I should have only had two options: dead or in the hospital. And what I want to make so clear to everybody that's watching this or listening to this, I wasn't an alcoholic. I wasn't a drug addict. I'm not an alcoholic now. I'm not a drug addict now. All I was trying to do was run, numb, and flee from that pain on the inside of me. And that pain came from stories that I told myself every single day about the trauma and the defining moments that I experienced in my life, those wounds that I had. So what is that wound that you might have? What's the traumatic experience that you might be going through? What's that time in your life to where you felt abandoned, when you felt left behind, when you felt like you weren't good enough? There's something that happened. We're all wounded. And so many of us are just complacent, suffering in complacency, comfortably suffering. And we go to bed at night wondering what the hell we're doing. Why can't I figure this out? I'm just going to bury myself in my work, and I'm just going to go out there and maybe just have a nice bottle of wine or drink some beer on the weekend and listen to a nice concert or go do this, maybe smoke some weed. But we're suffering comfortably. And the only way that I figured out to get myself off the van 9 years ago and get back here to where I am right now with the voice of hope, because so many people are hopeless right now. And all I want to do is just to try to bring enlightenment and say, dude, if we just do some introspective work and look ourselves in the mirror and say, who are you? And what do you truly want? Once we answer those questions, the game changes. You find your smile. You find freedom. You find purpose. You find your talent. You find your gift. You find your dream. You find everything on the inside. Everything starts to heal. But if you don't understand your story to lead you to where you are right now, if you don't understand what you went through, what's driving you to the point to where you are right now, with the story that you're telling yourself that you're not telling anybody else, if you don't understand that, those two answers to those questions are buried in that story. And so many of us get to the end of our life. I guarantee you, if I sit so many people down that they're the age of your grandpa and have a conversation, they have regret. They have regret saying, well, I just did this because this is what my family does. I just do this because this is what my parents told me what to do. I went to college and I did this program or did this job because that's what it was supposed to be. But you have this dream or this vision pulling you at you inside you, and you'll never find fulfillment unless you lean into that. But you'll never discover that dream or that vision or that talent or the answer to those two questions if you don't understand what the heck the story is. It's possible to turn that pain into power and into purpose. But so many of us are scared of that pain. So many of us are scared of that pain, the uneasiness of that pain. Pain is good. Pain is the primer for success and greatness. But so many of us are uncomfortable with that pain, so we don't lean into it. We run away from it, and then we run away from it. We start to run, numb, and flee from it because I got to get away from it. Whether it's food or alcohol or sex or pornography or drugs or social media, whatever that might be. We run from that, and then we start suffering because we know we should be leaning into that to get to the next level. But we don't do that. But if you don't answer those questions, you'll never get what you're trying to seek. And we're all trying to seek the same thing. We're all trying to be noticed. Who are you? What do you want to do? I'm a son of God. I'm a Christian. If you don't get connected to a spiritual walk, whatever that looks like for you, everybody's different. If you don't get connected to a spiritual walk, a higher power, you'll never go anywhere. You'll crash and burn. I didn't. I believed, but I didn't lean into the spiritual power. They always talk about you never get to the top alone. You need to have a team. You can't get there alone. You've got to have people around you. They have it backwards. It's not the people around you. You have to get there with something higher than you. Internally. When you connect to the source internally, whatever that source looks like to you, you will begin to heal the pain. You will begin to heal the inflammation of your soul. We all have inflammation of the soul right now. And that inflammation of the soul keeps us disconnected from that source. And what do? If I just do this, if I just do this, if I bail this much hay, if I just get another lot here, if I just get this many actors here, if I just do this, all this stuff's going to work. And this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to go over here. If I get this roping here, if I get this competition here, if I just do this, everything externally, everything will be great. You'll never get it because you're running and numbing and fleeing from that pain. And for most of us, it's success. Most of us is status. Most of us is a car, truck, trailer. Oh, I got the best horse. Whatever that might be. But once you connect, you start to heal that wound. And the next thing you have to do is you have to work your tail off. You have to work hard every single day to diligently seek, what do you want? Who are you and what do you want? What I want to live the highest expression of myself. That's what I'm trying to seek. I'm not trying to seek a status. I'm not trying to seek a level. I'm not trying to seek whatever external. I'm trying to seek the highest elevation expression of myself. So I had an hour and 20-minute drive here. I did everything I could to prepare myself so I could be the highest expression of myself right now. And if I do that, then I can just move on from there. We all want to seek and be the highest level of expression of who we are. I don't care what we're talking about. I don't care what anybody says. That's what we're trying to do. And once you answer those two questions, the game changes. And it can evolve. This is the last thing I thought I'd be doing.
Yeah.
Next to my farm, my zoo, I had 13 acres. I paid $1 million cash for it. I had a 7-foot block wall. I spent $350,000 around it. It's still up there right now. I had 15,000 square foot house designed to sit on that property. And I was going to sit on my front porch when I left Major League Baseball and say, screw you all, sit there with my millions of dollars and say, F the world. I don't give a damn what y'all think. I don't care. Screw you. Because inherently, I hated who I was. But God had a different plan. He had to let me go through what I went through to put myself in a position to answer those two questions. So I'm diligently trying to seek the highest expression of myself to provide hope to the hopeless. And that's everywhere we look.
That's deep.
Yeah, it relates. I mean, it's like when you go to church and you feel like the preacher's talking straight to you. It's kind of
Literally sitting here, I feel like he's talking to me.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say you felt like I was talking to him.
No, no, I feel like you're talking to me, man. I listen to that stuff, and I'm
Yeah.
just, and I mean, you can ask him. I'm probably the most positive person, and you've just, I mean, I'm nowhere near the league that you are, but I feel like I'm a pretty positive person. But some of the stuff you're saying, it is weighing heavy on me.
Brandon sends me like motivational stuff, clips all the time from different people, this and that, and it's like exactly kind of like what we've been listening to for a while.
Exactly,
I mean, I enjoy this. It's kind of the refreshing to hear.
All right, well, hey, welcome back to the Tolleson-Mack podcast. The second half brought to you by Rat Bastard Energy Drinks. They're doing big things for Cesar over there, and we always like to give him a shout out.
Yep.
So
It's awesome.
Zero sugar, huh?
All kinds of good stuff. Yeah, the people that go to the gyms really like it. For me personally, when I'm driving and stuff, like late night drives, you know, take a drink.
Jitters.
You know, the Monsters and the Red Bulls, man, they give me the jitters and give me the bubble guts. This Rat Bastards is really good, really smooth.
look at this. This is the ultimate endorsement.
There we go. Shea
Ultimate
Hillenbrand.
endorsement.
Take a try. Not too bad. It's good stuff, man. We got a few more flavors coming out, but
We'll send you home with some.
we'll send you home with a bunch.
That's my favorite too. I love orange.
There you go.
That's good stuff. I'll try
It is.
it as an athlete.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, well, let's just get back into it, man. I'll tell you, this podcast has obviously turned out to be a lot different. I'm just sitting here and all listening, so I'm enjoying it. So let's just keep rolling, Shea. Where you want to go?
2 months ago, my wife and I went to New Orleans and went down to Bourbon Street. Bourbon Street's like second Sin City.
Oh yeah.
I was in New Orleans. NOLA. I rehabbed there. I played in the AAA team there when I was at the tail end of my career, and my perspective of New Orleans was crap. This place stinks. It's summer. It's garbage. There's still water lines from Hurricane Katrina. I used every excuse to form a negative perspective on the place so I could hate it, because I hated it everywhere I went. So I went 2 months ago with my wife. She had a business trip to go. She said, "Do you want to go?" I was like, "Sure." So we were there for a week, and I had my 2 GoPros, and I'm like, I'm gonna go on the streets. I'm gonna go on the streets, and I'm gonna learn something here. I know I'm gonna learn something. So I'm just walking up and down the streets, the French Quarter, Bourbon Street. I have a different perspective now. I'm like, man, this place is beautiful. It has the history, and it's just really cool. And there's a ton of homeless people or street people that live on the streets. There's street performers over here. There's people bringing you into the bars to go in there, hustlers, and there's guys that are trying to wheel and deal you. And it's pretty fast paced. But when we were there, my wife and I were on the street one day, and we saw this gal, and she couldn't be more than 35 years old. She obviously lived on the streets. She's wearing short workout shorts. She had Birkenstocks with the right front toe was missing on her Birkenstock. She's this rat's nest, not rat bastard, but rat's nest. And she was this and my wife's like, man, I want to help that girl. Like there's something like I want to help her. So I was like, okay, let's go help her. So I have it on my GoPros. I'm like, hey, how you doing? What's your name? She's like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, where are you from? I'm from Hollywood. I'm like, how old are you? 1 million years old. And she couldn't even function. So obviously she was on meth or something. Like her perspective was jaded. Her mindset was jaded. And that's why she was there. And her next question is like, do you got $1? And I'm like, no, I don't got $1, but I have a bottle of water that you can have. So I gave her a bottle of water and just continued on. But I would go down there every morning, and I have like 40 hours of video footage. And every morning I went down to Bourbon Street, walking through the streets, and at night, nightlife starts to come. There's thousands of people walking down Bourbon Street, enjoying Bourbon Street. And there's street people sitting on the side, and I'm watching the street people on the side sitting on the ground, and they're looking up at the people walking by, and their souls are gone. They're just like zombies. And the craziest thing came to me as all these people are walking by, they're not even noticing these people that are sitting on the ground, that are street people. And I sat there, I'm like, this has to be the worst effing feeling in the world, to be sitting here and not even to be noticed. Not even to be noticed as a human being. I said, this has to make you feel like the biggest piece of crap in the world. So the first thing that I noticed when I went down to New Orleans on Bourbon Street is that people don't feel noticed. And when you don't feel noticed, you have pain because you feel less than. When you don't feel noticed, you experience this internal turmoil that separates you from who you are. And then what do? You find a community of people that are on the same path as you, that are experiencing the same things as you. And what you do is you run them and flee inside that environment. So as Kristen and I, my wife, go back to home at night in the hotel, we're laying in bed. She's like, I want to help this girl so bad. Like, I want to help her so. We have the resources to help her. I said, it's not possible. We can't help her. Because she can't see. She can't see the blessings in front of her face. Because she doesn't feel seen. And as I'm going down there day and day and night and night and night, it's the same thing over. You see the same people over and over again. And it came to the last night that we're on Murray Street. And I walked by this gal, and I'm praying the whole time. It's like, I wish we could help this girl. Like 2 days she went missing. She didn't even show up. She might have been in a hospital, might have been like overdosed or something. And then she showed up the last night and she walked by me. This gal that my wife wants to help. And she's like, I remember you. And I was like, yeah. I'm thinking like, maybe it's going to happen. She's like, do you want to fucking die on my couch tonight? I want to murder you. I'm going to fucking kill you tonight.
Whoa.
I'm going to murder you. And I looked at her. She was 1 foot from my face. And I'm like, no, you're not. I know where I'm at. It's not going to happen. I said, you're not going to murder me because I'm the greatest blessing that's been sent to you. That's what I told her. I said, we can help you. You know what her next question was?
Got $1?
You got $1? And then she walked away.
Wow.
If you don't feel seen, you can't see the blessings in front of your face. And as I'm walking away, I'm looking at the Ritz-Carlton because it's right around the corner from Bourbon Street. And I'm sitting there observing this on Bourbon Street, the Ritz-Carlton. And these rich white people are walking in and out of the hotel. These business people that are affluent, that are successful, that have status, that are dressed to the T. And I see street people sitting on the street next to it. 3 guys lined up. And as I'm observing this, I'm like, holy crap. These dudes that are going on the Ritz, they're experiencing the same pain that these dudes are feeling on the street. But they're masking that pain with success, status. They're on the road, business trip, away from their family, so they're cheating on their wives, probably snorting a little coke, the good stuff, and just meandering on through life, disconnected because they don't know how to navigate that pain. Where did that pain come from? From these dudes that are rich. From the story, the experience, the trauma, the wounds. And as these dudes are sitting on the ground, they're watching these guys go in. What do they say? Do you have $1? And I'm watching this, and I'm like, are you kidding me? You're asking them, do you have $1? The dude's probably got $10,000 in his pocket. But he doesn't give 2 craps about you because he's dealing with his pain. He doesn't know how to navigate it, so he's disconnected. He can't have any empathy or understanding. He can't serve you with intention. He can't make a difference in your life. He knows that, so he's just going to disconnect and just look at you and look away from you and make you feel not seen. So what I realized on Bourbon Street is that when you don't feel seen, you can't see the blessings in front of your face. And then what do? You ask the wrong questions.
Yeah.
So how many times are we asking the wrong questions in our life when we're in the place because we can't see the blessings, because we don't feel seen? Why are you asking him if he's got $1? Why don't you ask him how do we get off the street? How did you get to where you are? How do I get to the next level? I know I have something inside me. How do I make this pain go away? You're asking the wrong questions. And how many of us are walking around, we don't feel seen? So we're hiding behind whatever we're trying to achieve, and we can't see the blessing sitting in front of our face. Then in return, we ask the wrong questions. How do I get some more land? How do I get to the next rodeo? How do I get to this next car? How do I get to this next fix? How do I get to this next temporary gratification of dopamine release instead of saying, who am I? And what do I want? So when I got off the floor of that van, the first thought that came through my mind was, where's my horse? And this is 4 years after I lost my farm. I haven't thought about this horse one time in the last 4 years.
Wow.
But when I thought about this horse, it brought a feeling inside myself that was exciting. Something different than what I was experiencing consistently for such a long period of time. See, what happens when you have a feeling from a thought, it stimulates an action, or it paralyzes you from taking action or taking the wrong action. So when I felt this feeling, I'm like, I need to find my horse. I had nothing left in my life. Nothing. I was scrounging up change out of my cup holder to feed my flipping kids Little Caesars pizza after I brought home $20 million. How do you deal with that? You know how humiliating that is? Running and numbing and fleeing. Screw you. I don't want you to see it. I can help you. I don't want your help. Forget you. Get your stuff. I have my stuff together. Forget you, dude. See, my first purchase when I got to the top, you always have a first purchase, especially athletes. Some guys buy themselves a house. Some guy buy mama a house or a pimping car. I bought a horse. That was my first purchase in the big leagues. I always wanted a quarter horse. I grew up in Southern California in a neighborhood with Stereo Lane, a middle-class white neighborhood, never been around horses. My mom grew up in a farm in Missouri, and she says, you're not getting a horse because it's too much work. I did it my whole damn life, doing horses, cows, and chickens, and rabbits, and picking cotton. We ain't doing no horses. Mama, I want to ride a horse. You ain't riding a horse. Okay, whenever I get a chance, I'm buying myself a damn horse. So I bought a horse when I got to the big leagues, a quarter horse, and I named it Coors Light. C.O. I don't know. I just wanted a quarter horse. But when I got off the floor of that van, I had a thought, and it stimulated a feeling. And so many times we have a thought pulling at us, which is part of our dream, part of our vision, part of what we're supposed to be doing, but we don't go towards it because we're scared. I have nothing less. I might as well go try to reach it. So I reached out to my friend, and I said, bro, can you help me find my horse? He's like, what horse? You had 56 horses, dude. I said, the horse. But the horses I had were rescue horses. They weren't good horses, man. They were the ones that nobody wanted.
Yeah.
I was taking for slaughter, all that stuff. I was trying to rescue all these other animals and rescue people because all I was trying to do was rescue myself. And if I rescue enough other than, maybe I can rescue myself through that process because I don't know how to ask for help because I am who I am. So my buddy says, I'll find your horse. So he called me back that night. He's like, bro, I got your horse. I found your horse. He says, reach out to this person on Facebook, and this person has your horse. So I went back to my van that night down by the river. I didn't even have a house to live in. I was living in my van, and I reached out and I messaged this person on Facebook Messenger, and I said, do you got my horse? And instantly that person reached back and says, why? And I was going to say, oh, I was on my deathbed, I OD'd last night, whatever. I was going to say none of that stuff. But the person said, why? Because if you adopted an animal from me from my farm, what happens is I had you sign a contract to where if you couldn't keep the animal, you'd have to give him back to me. I had first right of refusal. And the person said, why? That day, because the day before, that person sent that horse, my first horse, to Utah from here because that person was going through a divorce. That day, while I was on my deathbed, my horse got sent to Utah. And what's crazy is for 2 years straight, guys, I was praying to God because I didn't know how to ask anybody for help. I said, God, please bring somebody into my life. Bring somebody into my life that can help me out. But I can't share that with you guys because I'm afraid to be vulnerable because it's a sign of weakness. And I don't want you to see my shattered soul and really let you see who I truly am because it makes me feel good to hide behind that veil of all the success I'm having because I'm crumbling on the inside. And I prayed to God for 2 years to bring a woman into my life to help me out because I knew if I just got into a relationship, I was able to create oneness with another woman. That was my only chance to let somebody in. I couldn't let you guys in. You have all the answers. You have all the answers. You guys have all the experience. I wouldn't let you in. I wouldn't listen to you because I'm trained to protect myself because of that pain. I had so much anger because anger is a secondary emotion to pain and hurt and shame and resentment. And that's what so many of us men do is we live in quiet desperation, masking it with success, masking it with all this stuff we're trying to achieve, and we go to bed at night and we absolutely hate who we are and we can't go to sleep. I knew my only chance to have a chance in life was to have God bring someone into my life to help me end up being a a woman. So the person that had my horse was my wife today. And after 2 failed marriages and burning every bridge and doing everything in my life to destroy my life and try to prove to everybody that I could do it and prove to everybody that I'm better than them and prove to everybody to stroke my ego, but ego stands for edging God out, filling that gap with the success that I'm having because I'm broken and I'm shattered and I'm empty and I'm wounded. How did this happen? It stimulated from a thought. And that thought turned into an emotion. And that emotion turned into an action. And the action turned into God bringing a gift into my life. But since I got off the floor of that van because I gave up that night before, I didn't give up on my life. I gave up on my struggles. I gave up on my ego. I gave up on myself. I gave up trying to fight on my own. I gave up trying to do it by myself. I gave up on everything that I tried to do to get to the top. I was worn out. But when I gave up, God blessed me. And when I gave up, I was able to see the blessings that were given to me. And then I began to ask different questions. See, what happens, guys, is that we got to be in control of our mind. We got to be in control of those conversations in our mind. The most powerful conversation, the most important conversation we'll ever have in our life is the conversation we have with ourselves. What's that conversation? What are we talking about when we go to bed? What are we talking about when we're driving the pickup truck back from the field? What are we talking about when we're on the road going to a roping? What are we saying to ourselves? Are we trying to run from that? Are we trying to flee from that because we don't know how to navigate that internal dialogue? Because we beat ourselves up every single day. But God didn't bring Kristen into my life to save me. She brought Kristen into my life to bring me hope. Kristen into my life to stand strong beside me and say, dude, whenever you're ready to get up, I will be right here. I love you unconditionally. I believe in you. I love you for who you are. I don't give a damn what you did, Shea. I'm here for you, but you have to put the work in. And that's what I'm here to say, is that wherever you're at, you have to put the work in. You have to understand that you're seen. You're seen when you get connected by a higher source. You're seen by God. You're seen by Jesus. The only one that you need to be seen by is right there. And once you understand that and understand what led you to where you are, you reverse engineer it and say, dude, this is where I'm at. This is the pain I'm experiencing. And this is what I'm going through. It's okay. But nothing happens and nothing will grow. We have nothing to build on if we don't heal that wound. We're all wounded. And if I could sit here and say, you know what? I get it. That's the intention by me sitting here today with you guys. I get it. And if there's enough of us sitting here and create a community saying, you know what? We get it. We want to strive to be the greatest person that we could be and lean into that dream that's been given to us and use that talent that we've been given to us to go out there and serve the world and have intention behind that service with substance. And I just worked every single day. I did everything I could to ruin my marriage in my first 2 years. Don't you know who I am? You don't get it. You're not as good as me. Okay? I love you. Until I just got up. Until I just sat still internally with myself, guys, and I said, what is the next right step? We're trying to fix all these problems. We're trying to get to this level here. We're trying to get above here. But what happens is we get so overwhelmed because we think our life's so out of control and we're masking it with all the success that we can't do it. So we continue to put all of our eggs and building from the outside in with building our business. But all we have to do is sit quiet with ourselves and understand that we got to connect to the source. And we got to ask ourselves just one simple question. What's the next right step? That's it. And for most of us, the next right step is to stop the actions that's bleeding us out. Maybe that's taking one less drink. Maybe that's keeping the promises to myself, waking up when I say I'm going to wake up. See what happens, we're trying to gain credibility with everybody else out there. That doesn't mean crap. You have to gain credibility with yourself to get up your self-esteem because we all have a governor on our life. And that governor on our life keeps us exactly where we are, and we do everything we can to protect that governor, to defend that governor, because that's the truth of where we stand. And for so many of us, our business takes off. Our success gets up here. We have all these things. Our business gets up here, but what do? We self-sabotage our business because our business gets ahead of us. Your business that you guys are in right now is self-development. Personal development with an amazing upside. If you understand how to build your business from the inside out, you will be able to do and define and create anything that you ever desire. But what happens is our governor's set, at a certain level to where it keeps us exactly where we are. We self-sabotage. Every time we get to the next step, we get this little win, we get to this level, boom, I don't believe it because I don't believe I can truly do it. But I can't let you know that. See, your internal belief system, your self-esteem, your self-confidence is like, it's like a thermostat in the wall. And you have an AC in here. If I had that thermostat set at 75 degrees, guys, and that door opens and the hot air comes in, what does the thermostat do? It kicks on the AC and cools you back down to 75 degrees. And the opposite happens on the other side of the country. When it's cold outside, set at 75 degrees, you open the door, the heat comes in, the cold comes in. What does the thermostat do? It kicks on the heater. So whether you want to go or whether you want to come down, whatever that might be, the level of your success of what you're going to do and accomplish in the world is determined by that internal thermostat of who you are. But so many of us put our eggs in the basket of our success with our business, and we hide behind that, and our internal world is falling apart. I was waking up every single day in a $4 million mansion, playing for the Angels, and F word out of my mouth every morning. Fuck! And my wife's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, you'll never understand. Trying to defend that point. You don't get it. But in reality, I would say that because I couldn't understand. I was having all the success. How do you raise your internal thermostat? You have to get in association with people that are playing a game higher than you. And you have to do a massive amount of work in a short period of time to prove to yourself that you could do it. Belief demands evidence. You must take action to raise your belief system. And we all look at, just watch people out there, guys. Watch people that you see now. So many people are just meandering through life. So many people are just, it's gone. Comfortably living in a suffering state. So we have to raise that internal governor of who we believe to be true about ourselves. To understand, to answer those two questions, man. Who am I? This is the hardest questions for me to answer because, I'm Shea Hillenbrand. I'm a baseball player. Really? You're that low where you have to identify with that shit? So if somebody's going through that, I get it. When we don't feel seen, we have pain. When you have pain, you can't see the blessings. You can't see the blessings, you ask the wrong questions. You ask the wrong questions.
The guy sitting in New Orleans.
That's it.
Yeah. The guy sitting, like you said, why don't you ask him, how do you get to that suit?
Yeah.
How do you get to stay here? Instead of asking for a freaking dollar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Fix.
Yeah, they just need the temporary fix instead of looking forward.
Yeah.
Because they don't believe there's a way out. Because they feel overwhelmed. The very last night in New Orleans, I got my wife a bottle of wine, which is La Crema, her favorite bottle of wine. It's decent. It's like $40. Went into the liquor store and came out, and there's a guy sitting on the ground with a bag of wine. Cheap bag of wine. He's sitting there just drowning in his misery. And I look at him, I said, hey bro, you ever tried rich people wine? You ever wonder what rich people wine tastes like? Looks at me like your dog looks at you like, yeah, do you want to try some? Yeah, so I open up my wife's bottle of wine and I give it to him. I was like, damn, I'm not going to buy her another bottle of wine. And I give it to him and he tries it. I said, wow, what an amazing experience. That's possible. And I said, you know how to get rich people wine? He said, how? I said, get your ass off the streets. And that's where everybody leaves it. They don't understand what led somebody to the streets because at some point in time, these people that are in the worst part of their life, they've had childlike wonder like you and me. But they had to go through something in their internal environment with where they lived to where they had to escape that because how they interpreted that experience that they went through, whether it's parents that are drug addicts, alcoholics, abusive, not present, whatever that might be, they felt less than. They didn't feel seen in that environment at some point in time in life. When Shea left, 14 years old, from California to Arizona, I didn't feel seen. But when I didn't feel seen, I felt pain. When I didn't feel pain, I couldn't see the blessings. That's why I only made 20 million when I should have made 100 million. That's why I only reached 1/5 my potential of playing Major League Baseball because I didn't feel seen. And I saw every opportunity as a negative. I saw everybody against me. I saw everybody as an enemy, which that's not the case. So I told the guys, like, what can you do? Sit here. After you finish this wine, sit here, bro. You have nothing in your life. Nothing but the next breath. I said, sit quietly and ask yourself that question. The answers are on the inside. They're not externally. All of us are trying to seek out here externally the answers. They're inside. I said, dude, what is that next right step for you? Is that connecting with a homeless shelter? Is that going to check it into a place? You might have some resources that you don't think you have. All we have to focus on is what's the next right step.
What back to this horse? Where's the horse today?
It's in Gilbert.
Yeah.
He came back, and it was really cool because I think 2 years ago, my wife and I were able to go see him.
That's cool.
And he's retired and a pastor, and he's living a life. The lady that owns him is a crazy horse lady.
Yeah.
Told me
Most of them are.
right. So she told me I did a horrible job taking care of him.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, that's cool. Thank
Yeah.
you. And it was cool because I thought it'd be a lot different experiencing that with her. We had great video and pictures and stuff, but that horse served its purpose.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. It did his thing in that part of his life that brought us together.
Yeah, for sure. That's a hell of a story. I mean, like you said, when I met you, you had a semi and you were coming. You had your feed store and the coolest thing in the world. My grandpa was just couldn't believe it. We watched you play and it was just crazy. And me and my grandpa watched baseball all the time together. So for you to show up and over there, I mean, we were starstruck. And like you said, you shielded it or you hit it really well. I mean, knowing now your story, what you're going through at the time that I met you, you said that was like the heat of it. That was your darkest time or your moment. I mean, you we couldn't see it. I mean, I guess you were a professional at hiding it or covering it up, I guess, or whatever. But man, I had no idea. None of this.
When you get to the top, if you don't know how to disconnect from that, that becomes a distraction, and then now you're not going to be able to compete at that level.
Yeah.
Because what separates you at that level is that. It's not talent. It's not ability, because everybody operates at the same level. What separates you is how you present yourself and how you place your focus.
You say present yourself, man. When I watch this guy, when he's been my idol, in the team open world, presenting yourself. This is the pro of how he carries himself, how he, when he gets done roping, how he coils his rope back up. I mean, this guy's a professional from the word go, and like there's so much about this story that I see in this guy, and I think he never has nothing out of place. I mean, the feather in his hat is perfect, and he's a pro on every level. But that's what you guys do. I mean, I guess
it's a pro athlete.
Yeah,
I think.
exactly.
I mean, this is two different worlds. I know you have a horse and stuff, but I mean, this is really two different, really different pro levels.
There's so much the same.
So much the same, and
it's all mental, right?
This is how you get self-confidence. You have to show up with intention. Mm-hmm. I have a trash can that's underneath the counter that you pull out at my house. Mm-hmm. I have a 4-step process to take out my trash. Y'all just take out the trash. I have intention behind taking out the trash. Because I know if I have a 4-step process to do what I do, regardless if I like it or I don't like it, whether I'm making the bed, mowing the lawn, sweeping the kitchen, or taking out the trash, I drive my wife nuts.
I was just going to ask that question. Your wife probably goes crazy.
This is like, you talk about like OCD, and no, like you have to have that to gain self-confidence. So when you get pushed in that situation where you have pressure, you can navigate in that place and not get overwhelmed. Because I'm telling you what, he's not going to say it. When you get in that arena in the NFR, like it is pressure. It is scary. Okay. It is hard. It is it's insurmountable. When you get in the batter's box against Mariano Rivera at Fenway Park and the game's on the line and I hit a game-winning home run off him, like I can't tell you the pressure in that situation. Yeah. But the way you navigate that is how you gain self-confidence in what you do and show up with intention. You have to be intentional with everything that you do. So when I take out the trash, I take the trash bag out, the liner out with the trash in it, and I tie it up and I put it on the ground next to the trash can. Step 1. Step 2, I pull open the drawer and I take out the trash bag and I throw it over the side of the trash can for step 2. I don't put the trash bag in because there's a reason. The intention behind that is so far greater because everybody stops right there. They just put the trash can liner in. So step 3 is I take the trash out to the barrel in the garage or the outside, and I take it and put it in the dumpster. Step 4, I come back in and I open up the trash can liner and I put it in the trash. Boom. Signed, sealed, delivered, complete. I just completed a process. What you're going to do is you're going to receive a dopamine release whenever you complete a process, whenever you achieve a win, whenever you stack little wins, you achieve a dopamine release. For you to be present to receive that, you don't just meander through it. You don't just go through the motions. Like when I'm loading up the truck with hay, there's a certain way I do it. I don't know how to do it at first. You have to teach me, but I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to customize it to where I know it's the best way, because when I come, boom, I got self-confidence. I'm going to rock it.
Yeah.
So as I go to push in my trash can, this is the kicker, guys. When I go to push in the trash can, after I completed my 4-step process to take out the trash, I see a little bit of Kool-Aid on top of the cabinet, the front face of the trash, that my kids did because I have 5 kids. I have a decision to make right there. I have a decision to make to go above and beyond the 4-step process of taking out the trash, of just taking the rag off the counter next to the sink, putting a little water in it, wiping it off, throwing it in the sink. If I just do that little extra credit, boom, I just got 2 hits of dopamine, and I don't give a damn what you say, I'm going to rock it. You come to me, now you're going to say, oh, you're so full of yourself. Oh, you're cocky. You're damn right I'm full of myself. I'm full of myself because I've put the work in, but I'm full of myself with the right power, not with ego, and I'm going to crush you. And that's how you separate yourself.
Yeah.
But the kicker is right here, is if you push in the trash can, guys, and you see that there's Kool-Aid right there, or a mess right there, and you don't wipe it off, you just lost the dopamine release. You just lost that win by taking off the track. Now you got a hit against your self-confidence, and now you're just behind the 8 ball. So the reason why I put the trash can lighter over on the second step rather than just put it, because if I push the trash can in and there's an extra credit, I know that I'll get that extra credit. I'll have the time to do it rather than like, oh, trash can in, and then I got to take the trash can out. I don't care about that. It's the little things, the intention behind what you do when you show up every single day. That's what's going to separate you. That's what's going to get you to that point where you compete at the top, whatever you do.
Yeah.
And that's when you start designing your life. That's when you start playing the game on your terms. That's when you start playing life. I don't give a damn, dude. I don't care. I have an hour drive home right now after this. If I get in a car accident and die, I don't care. I'm cool.
Yeah.
And to get to that point, it's a very powerful place to operate from, to find that internal freedom. But I don't take it for granted because I worked my ass off. I didn't think it was possible.
Yeah. Man,
What baseball question?
Man, I just, there's so many I don't even know what to say, but
I got one. Who was the
All of them.
the most hardcore pitcher, like the toughest pitcher you had to face?
All of them.
All of them. They're all hardcore.
Everybody always asks me that. It is so freaking hard, man.
Every one of them there is badass,
And
right?
I don't, and it's serious, man.
Yeah.
And people take it for granted. People like you, what's the hard? Like, it's hard.
Yeah, everybody you go.
Every student that I read was tough. You know what I mean?
You know what I
They're
mean?
all tough.
Like, which is the toughest one? Every damn one of them.
yeah.
Who's your biggest competition? Me.
Myself, yeah.
What?
Right. So the thing is that, check this out. The reason why I take out the trash that way, the reason why I take out or hit the ball off the batter's tee that way, the reason why I have intention behind everything I do, because I have one pitch and at bat to do anything with. Mm-hmm. So when you watch the next baseball game, that batter has one pitch out of 4 or 5 pitches to do anything with. Yeah. And the worst thing to do is get into a hitter's count, first pitch, 1-0, 2-0, 3-1, 3-0, and you foul it off. And you miss it because you're not focused. Mm-hmm. We step out of the batter's box, you know what we think? I'm done now. I'm not going to have a chance.
Yeah.
So then I just go fight. It is so freaking hard. But there are a couple guys that's just like, dude, I'm not going to try.
Yeah.
Like I faced Justin Verlander, he threw me 101 mile an hour fastball.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And it's just like, go to the batting cage and go to like the fastest speed and times that by 10. Like it's just like, by the time it releases his hand to the catcher's mitt, it's like,
yeah.
So you're swinging before it comes. And I was a 2-time All-Star already, dude. I was making millions. I was one of the best hitters in the game. He threw me this first pitch fastball right here. I fouled it off straight back. And I stepped out the batter's box, and I was like, yes, I touched it.
That's good, man.
That's how hard it is.
Yeah.
Like, I barely tipped it. And when you barely tip a ball going that fast with the wooden bat, it burns the bat.
Yeah.
Like, your bat starts smelling like burnt wood. Then he throws me another fastball. I fouled off. Then he throws me like a Bugs Bunny curveball. And I'm like, dude, just forget this, man. It's just so hard. So how do you get at it, right? Because you're going to come up against that, right? Like you're going to have this 5-man rotation. You make all your money off the 3, 4, or 5 starters. If you're facing number 1, number 2 starter, you're lucky to have one quality at bat. That's how good they are, right? So you go into a town and you wake up in the middle of the night because you're always on the road, and you're like, where the hell am I? As you're waddling to the bathroom as a physical specimen, I can't even move. Where am I? And then the second thought is Who am I facing today? It's not like, where's my wife?
Yeah.
How's my family doing? Who am I facing today? And if you're facing the number 1 or number 2 starter, you can't go back to sleep.
Yeah.
So I don't need to sleep. Now I'm taking Ambien, I'm taking sleeping pills, I'm drinking, do whatever I can to get to sleep. The next day at the ballpark, I'm jogging, now I'm taking uppers to get up, and it's like, y'all want to live your dream?
It's a slippery slope. So how was it playing in the minors? Like,
Sucked.
did it? Is it like what you see? Like
Horrible. 13-hour bus trips.
Yeah.
Podunk towns in the Midwest. Clinton, Iowa.
Yeah.
They use like 1950s tractors to drag the infield. And there's like a corn, I don't know, refineries or bean factories. It smells like, what the hell am I doing here? This is stupid. Like, you don't want any part of it.
Right.
We were in Motel 6s, and it's like you have roommates. It's just like, it is putrid. Like,
Sounds like rodeoing, to be honest with you.
it is,
And from the minors, you're one step away from the Ritz
Liverpool.
Carlton. From the Ritz Carlton.
So I make the big league team, and when you make the big league roster out of spring training, you have 2 exhibition games when I play, and then you start the season. So we had an exhibition game in Houston against the Astros, and we had an exhibition game in Cincinnati against the Reds, and then we opened up in Baltimore, like I shared with you earlier, against the Orioles. So I get to Houston. The bus pulls up to the hotel, and it's the Reds, dude. Yeah. And I've never stayed in anything other than Motel 6, bro. Like, nothing, dude. Like, Days Inn or whatever. And I'm walking in, I'm like, this is stupid, dude. And I go to my hotel room, and I put my key in. You know how you put your key in the room? There's a doorbell. I'm like, am I in, like, a handicap room or something? And I was like, I open up the door. My room is so flipping big that if I'm on the other side of the room, you got to push the doorbell.
Wow.
I can't hear you. I get on the bed, dude. I'm like Macaulay Culkin, Home Alone. I'm in the big leagues. Like, it's just, it's asinine. But it's like, how do you get there? And you think about that question for you, like, how did you get there? I didn't give up.
Yeah.
All my friends gave up. You know how many times I wanted to give up? Mm-hmm. You know how many times I'm like, dude, what am I doing? But something inside myself just pulled me towards just doing it. You know how many times I wanted to give up on my speaking? On what I'm doing right now?
Yeah.
No one's going to listen to you. You have nothing good to say.
That's bullshit.
That's bullshit.
But those are the thoughts, guys. Those are the thoughts that I deal with.
Right.
Because those are the thoughts that we all deal with. So I have to audibly talk out loud in the morning when I'm walking my dogs through the country club. I'm like, dude, you're good. You can do it. Like, people say you can do it. They tell me you're the Barry Bonds of speaking. And I don't do steroids to speak. But, but
No,
it's like,
Barry
I have
didn't
to
do
talk to myself. If I don't, I would just let that beat me up and steer me away. That's the enemy. Your thoughts don't come from you, man. That comes from something else. If you don't understand me, close your eyes and sit quietly and focus on what goes through your mind. Is that you saying the thought, or is that you observing the thought?
Yeah.
It can't be both. So that's the enemy. Yeah. So what thoughts are we taking hold of? Because this is what it is, dude, that you need to tell your homeboys. I don't know if you call them homeboys.
I do, yeah. I'm gangster, bro.
Check it, bro. Like, a negative thought is 4 to 7 times more powerful than a positive thought.
Wow.
Amen.
A negative thought is 4 to 7 times more powerful than a positive thought. If I say that externally, if I let that negative thought come externally after I finish the roping and I miss the heel, I fucking suck. I can't do it. That 10x's that negative thought. So that means that if you say that after you fail, that means 70% chance likelihood that that's going to happen the next time.
Yeah.
So we got to understand the science behind it and say, you know what? I'm thinking these thoughts right now. I can't entertain this thought, and I definitely can't say it out loud. So y'all need to tell your homeboys to stop saying stupid shit.
Right.
When you stop saying stupid shit and stop trying to be positive in that situation, you can't be positive. That's the last thing you want to hear. Be positive, dude. You got the next round.
Figure out what you did wrong.
What happens is so many people go positive, or they go the other end. They go to negativity, and then they start spiraling out of control. I suck. I can't do it. And then we just cling on to that. And then we just go down there. What does that do? You get your self-confidence. And it affects yourself subconsciously when you go to prepare yourself and present yourself the next time you ride, regardless of what you say when you ride.
Yeah.
So like you said, you can't think positive. You can't think negative. You got to think neutral. Yeah. Where am I at right now? You know what? I just messed it up. I messed it up. Why? See it for what it is. If you can see it for what it is and gain a game plan and put you in the direction of where you want to go, that's the way you get out of it, controlling the slump. That's how you get out of a slump. Because everybody goes into a slump hitting baseballs. The best in the world shorten the slump. We all go in slumps. But the guys that suck stay in that slump.
Yeah.
And they wonder why they can't do it. You got the skills, you have the ability, you have the training. It's understanding how to control that thinking. I was able to do that very well on a baseball field. I don't give a damn. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next one. I got this. Let's go. We can do it. So you talk about slump or self-confidence. I just control what I can control. This is like a race car driver. So if you're getting spinning out of control in a race car, is it PR right on the street? Mm-hmm. If they're spinning out of control and you're going towards the wall, you don't look at the wall. How do they train them? Turn your head towards the direction of where you want to go, and inherently you want to go that way.
Yeah.
But you got to see it for what it is. You can't make it better. Oh, I got this. Everything's gonna be great. Everything's great. Oh, it's awesome. I'm at the NFR. No, dude, I'm flipping freaking out right now. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath, and then one more. That takes the edge off. Neutral thinking. See it for what it is. Extract what happened. Formulate a game plan. Get your ass back out there and do it. Over, and over, and over.
Man, when I talked to you and called you and we were talking about doing this, I didn't think, this would be the conversation that we were having. But, man, I think God works in mysterious ways. And I think a lot of it, I needed to hear this from you.
I needed to hear it.
I didn't have any idea that, we haven't spoken in, 5 years probably? I don't even know.
You know when you called? I got scared.
Really?
That's why I let it go to voicemail.
Oh, yeah.
Because I thought you were after me because I didn't pay you or something like that. That's where I was operating from.
Yeah.
And then when you're like, oh, I'd like to see if you go on a podcast. Sweet. Like honestly, that's the path I drove. That's the path I went down. Mm-hmm. And not one time, bro, did I ever blame God. Yeah. Not one time did I said, why are you doing this to me? No, I was like, dude, I can't do this. What am I doing?
Yeah.
I always say, it's me. So everything that I went through were the decisions and actions I took. Right? Yeah. And that's where people keep it. And I'm like, I had to reverse engineer it. Why did I reach 1/5 of my potential? Why am I miserable every day? And I just kept reverse engineering it. I was like, okay, these are the actions I'm taking. This is what I'm feeling because of the actions. Well, I'm feeling this because I believe this. Well, I believe this because this is my truth of how I see the world. I hate the world. And then my truth is coming from my belief system. Well, where's your belief system come from? Your belief system comes from the story, the narrative. And what does the story come from? The story comes from, an experience. Okay, the story comes from an experience and how I interpret and communicate that experience. How do you have two kids in the same environment with drunk parents and one becomes a drunk and the other one doesn't?
Yeah.
It's how they perceive that situation. Mm-hmm. And the craziest thing is, we got the remote in your hand right here. You can change that narrative. You can rewrite that story. You can rewrite that script. You can change the channel. You can change the movie. You can rewrite history. You can't change what happened, but I had to go back and say, why? Why do I have this pain? Oh, it's sin from my dad moving us. And I had to go back and deal with and sit down with my mom and my dad. Why did you move us? Well, son, we moved you because we want to give you a chance to play Major League Baseball, because if you stayed in Southern California, you wouldn't have had a chance to play Major League Baseball. You would have got lost in the sea of red. We all wanted to stay in California, but we wanted to give you a chance. Why didn't you tell me? Oh, we just don't talk that way because our generation, we don't have to deal with that. That's not the truth. My dad didn't tell me because he was dealing with the same pain that he dealt with his parents' generational freaking curse. And he tried to fight everything he could to keep his head above water to survive. And he died with 6 different ailments, 6 different diseases because he was rotten from the inside out, because that story and that pain and that resentment and all that crap he lived in. And I'm fighting every single day to break that curse for myself, just to try to use my voice to help people say, you know what, I get it. And I want to help you provide hope. Because when you stop helping yourself, when you stop becoming helpful, when you stop helping yourself, you become hopeless. When you become hopeless, you stop becoming helpful. So we got to start going inwardly and say, you know what? I need to do introspective. I need to look myself in the mirror. I need to look at myself in the mirror tonight. I need to look at myself in the mirror every night. Where are you, Shea? I call it the 4 A's. Where are you right now? I have to be aware of where I'm at. Well, I'm scared. I'm lost. I'm fearful. I have this anxiety because I don't think I can do this or whatever. Okay. The second thing I need to do is own it. I have to be accepted. This is where I'm at. Can't make it better. Can't make it worse. This is where I'm at. Third step is take action. What's that one next right step? Then the fourth thing is I have to keep myself accountable. I have to show up with intention, keep myself accountable. I have to keep the promises to myself. If y'all say you're going to wake up at 5 a.m. tomorrow or 4 a.m., wake your ass up. Wake up. You wake up not because you have to wake up at 4. You wake up to keep that promise to yourself because that's the pact you made with yourself. When you keep breaking those promises to yourself, like some of our friends doing right now, then you lose credibility with yourself. Then you feel like crap. You're not going to tell anybody that because I have all the success. What do? Go drink, go hang out, just chill.
Man, Shea, this was something that we really. I mean, I don't know what to say, but
Not very often.
Yeah.
I had a loss for
Thank
words.
you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming on
Thank you.
and doing this. Really do. I mean, it blew my expectations of what we were going to talk to you about
And
today. And
You want to talk about God works in mysterious ways.
yeah.
My daughter has never came to the podcast, ever. She watches it on YouTube, here's me and Brandon Cesar talking about it all the time. Has never came to the podcast. Brandon calls me today and says, hey, see if Hayden can come so she can work Shea's camera. And I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. She plays sports and stuff. And man, you were put here so she could hear that.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, like I said, in our friend group or circle, I'm the king of positivity. And I mean, you are next
Yeah.
level, my friend. And for you to say what you've said, and my daughter's sitting here, Hayden, shout out.
Yep.
It means so much to me, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Man, we'd like to have you on again, maybe down the road. So we
This was hard.
appreciate you.
This was hard for me
Yeah.
I loved it.
because in the roping world, in the cowboy, whatever you guys call it,
Mhm.
I've had a lot of damage done to me with my ex-wives and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like my ex-wife's cheating on me with ropers, so I had that perspective and the hatred and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
this was really good for me. Everything's good, man.
Yeah,
Well,
the
we-
horses, man.
We
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank
Well,
All
thank
right.
you very much for
Thank you,
coming,
Shea.
and we thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right on, Shea.
Sorry I
Well,
didn't talk
well,
about you.
No,
on
no,
Facebook.
you're good.
No, and
This is
we'll like Brandon said, we'll have you on again.
Yeah.
We wish you all the luck in your speaking.
Yeah.
I definitely have someone that we're gonna set up for you to go speak to him. And just man, if anybody's watching that needs somebody to maybe come in and talk to a team or anyone, I'm sure that he's super accessible. He
For
was
sure.
great to have here. So
Thanks
thanks
again.
everybody.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.